And now, for fans of the most exciting sport in the world, the MMA Live Chat Hour. Listen up and find out what's happening in the world of MMA. Hello and welcome to the MMA Live Chat Hour. I'm Rich Davie. It's Sunday, March 16th, 2014, the day after the UFC 171 Hendricks vs. Lawler event. On today's show, we'll be discussing the results of the UFC 171 Hendricks vs. Lawler event, and we'll review our predictions for the main card that we made on the last show. And if we have time, we'll talk about a couple of other MMA-related topics as well in the final thoughts segment. On today's show, we have yours truly, Damon, David, and maybe joining us later, my buddy Mark, who I went to see the pay-per-view with last night at Tijuana Taxi. Thanks for taking part in another show, guys. I appreciate you all taking the time to be here and joining me to discuss the UFC 171 Hendricks vs. Lawler event and going over the predictions that we made for the main card. Go ahead and say hello to anybody that might be listening, guys.
How's it going, everyone?
Good morning, everybody.
Okay, guys, thanks again for being here. This was round 6 of the second season of predictions that we've been doing. We'll recap how the crew is doing after 6 rounds of fight predictions in a minute, but first, here's how we score the results of our predictions. Recapping the scoring system. If you pick the correct fighter but don't get the correct method or round, you earn 4 points. If you pick the correct fighter and method or the correct fighter and round, you earn 7 points. If you pick the correct fighter, round, and method, or correctly call the winner by decision, you earn 10 points. Here's how the guys did on the last show of predictions that we did. David, he went 4-1 with his picks, and Damon and Rich went 3-2 with their picks. Here's how we placed in round 5. In first place, David Petrulik went 4-1 with 28 points out of 50. In second place, Damon Gazelle went 3-2 with 15 points out of 50. And in third place, Rich Davie went 3-2 with 12 points out of 50. Here's how things looked after 6 rounds of predictions. In first place, we got a big shakeup here because David went and took some risks, it looks like, and they really paid off for him. So now, in first place, we have David. He's now 25-10 with 173 points out of 350. In second place, Damon is now 25-10 with 166 out of 350. In third place, Rich is now 26-9 with 161 points out of 350. And in fourth place, Wes is now 20-10 with 134 points out of 300. Okay, guys, let's get started here. UFC 171, Hendricks versus Lawler. That was a great fight there, but the main event, I don't think anybody really expected it to turn out the way that it did, and I don't think many people thought it was going to go the distance, but somehow it did. Johnny Hendricks wins by unanimous decision with the scorecards reading 48-47 by all 3 judges. How did you guys score that one, and what are your comments on that fight?
Well, watching that fight was it was a great fight. I kind of looked at it. I thought it was going to be a split decision, perhaps. I thought maybe it would even be the surprise draw, and maybe they'd have to fight again. It seemed a lot closer, and there were a lot of people that actually believed Lawler did enough to win the fight. Just a great fight. I was hoping for the knockout, but it was still an amazing fight.
Yeah, it was a great fight, but I had rounds 1, 2, and 5 for Hendricks. He was more active in rounds 1 and 2, and 5 he was definitely won that one. It was a great fight, rounds 3 and 4. Lawler definitely did some major damage, but he didn't. I don't think he did enough to warrant any 10-8s or anything like that. I seen Hendricks playing it safer than he usually did, and I was actually surprised at his chin because Lawler has got some power, and he almost finished that fight.
No, man, he clocked him several times. I was like, holy shit, what are you doing, Johnny?
Yeah, I was kind of worried because with Hendricks, I thought he won the GSP fight, man. I was kind of hoping to see him get it. I hope that these two fight again. I mean, really, right now there isn't too much of a number one contender, especially with Condit out, and I would like to see maybe a rematch of that
Well,
fight.
I think what's going to happen is because, unfortunately, for those who didn't get to see the event last night, Carlos Condit suffered looks like a knee injury. It might be an ACL issue. So he was ranked number 2, but now with that, I don't know how much further he'll drop down in the rankings, but maybe because of the injury, that really won't impact his standing. But he'll probably drop down a spot or two, and then I think Robbie Lawler should move up, to the number 1 contender spot. So I also scored the fight 48-47 because I saw it the same way. The first 2 rounds, Hendricks, 3 and 4 was Lawler, and in my opinion, round 5, Johnny Hendricks just dominated Robbie Lawler.
Yeah. He almost had him out in the 5th himself. He started rocking him.
What did you guys? There was one of the judges that scored for Hendricks round 2. They scored it 10-8.
Yeah, there was some controversy on that. I can't recall that judge's name, but a lot of people were bitching about that guy.
Yeah, that guy was kind of a moron. He had a 10-10 and then a 10-8, and
yeah, because had he actually scored that second round properly, that would have actually made it a draw on his card. And then, I don't know. It seems bizarre because I don't think there's, like they're saying, the 10-8 round is as rare as the blue moon kind of thing.
Yeah, I wonder if he was the same judge that scored the Gastelum fight 30-27 for Gastelum, because
that's what they were saying. Yeah.
I mean, that had to be the same guy. Obviously, this guy doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to scoring fights, so something needs to be done about that fella. He shouldn't be invited back to be a judge.
I agree.
Yeah, when you get something so bad, I mean, it was close to a 10-8 for Lawler, and I think it was round 3, but I still, it's really hard to get a 10-8. I mean, you have to almost do like Maynard did to Edgar and get knockdown after knockdown.
Yeah.
To really warrant a 10-8 or just completely dominate a guy on top and not give him a chance to do anything and actually do damage.
Yeah, I didn't understand why Hendricks kept leaving his hands down and leaving himself wide open for those shots from Robbie Lawler, because
I don't think he's seen the jabs coming.
Yeah, after round 2 when he got all busted up, but even early on he was fighting with his hands down. It's like, why would you fight like that against Robbie Lawler? That guy can hit like a Mack truck.
Lawler's got a weird style, and I mean, yeah, you never want to leave your hands down anytime, but I don't think Hendricks really seen those jabs coming, and that affected the fight quite a bit, I believe.
Oh yeah, well that was after the fact, but even early on in round 1 and 2 he was fighting like that. It's like, man, bad game plan there to fight like that. And then he couldn't even get a takedown. I was surprised. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. What did you guys think with him missing weight at first? Do you think that had anything to do? He looked a little drawn out. He was shaking while he was having his...
That could be too, because what I read was that the scale that he had in his hotel room was way off by like 9 pounds or something like that.
Yeah, him and Dolce made a statement. They were at a local gym, and Johnny Hendricks had his private scale out, and they had claimed that there was other gym members that were just using the scale anyways, and that it threw it out of whack, and that's the explanation for the 1.5 pounds.
I thought it was 2 pounds.
He was 171.5. And he had to lose 1.5 pounds in the 2-hour span. But even like I've never seen Hendricks look that drawn out at a weigh-in.
Yeah.
He looked like a skeleton. Like his cheeks were so sunk in. His skin didn't have proper coloring. He was shaking, and not obviously out of fear or anything. It's because his body was super low in blood sugar, all depleted of his fat, probably proteins and aminos.
That's dehydration.
Yeah, I wanted to change my pick actually on Friday. I was
Yeah,
like,
I was thinking about that too because when I saw him and I kept reading all the comments,
yep,
everyone was saying that he looked like he was on the verge of death. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
Lawler looked like a machine at weigh-ins. Like he looked like I've never seen Lawler look that laser focused and ready. I really wanted to change my pick, and I was like, no, I'm just. But
I was thinking about it too, but it was too late because we already did the show.
Exactly right.
Yeah, but I thought that was a great fight, man. I don't know if that one won fight of the night and performance of the night, but I thought that was a great fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a great fight. Man, Lawler looked really good, but he wasn't putting it on enough. I mean, the leg kicks that Hendricks was getting off, the combos and everything, I think were scoring him the points. And I don't know if he was actually shooting a lot for takedowns so much as doing it to open up the striking game.
No, every time he tried, he failed until the final round.
I mean, if you see other Lawler fights, I mean, in his fights he does throw leg kicks and uses legs, but it seemed last night because of Hendricks' wrestling capability that he was very timid to use those as weapons.
Well, he also made a comment in the post-fight show that he said he hurt his leg early on. He had a big knot from checking a kick.
Yeah.
And then he said he was a little hesitant to throw kicks because of that, so that was probably the reason why he didn't. But Hendricks was throwing everything from different directions. He was throwing combos with his hands, and he was throwing combinations between hands and feet. And,
it looked like a much better trained Hendricks, actually, a way more complete fighter.
Yeah, he did look really good. With the exception of 2 and 3, where he looked like he was going to get knocked the fuck out.
Oh,
3 and 4, you mean?
Yeah, 3 and 4, right.
That one left hook that Lawler threw that clicked him right on the chin. Holy Toledo.
Yeah, so many guys would have been out with that.
Oh, yeah. You even saw Hendricks' eyes go a little funny for a second, but...
and even in the 5th round when Hendricks hit Lawler, man, Lawler's eyes rolled back in his head a couple times.
No, it was... I don't know if that would be the fight of the year, but I mean, it's going to be in the top for sure.
I wouldn't say fight of the year either, but definitely that was a great fight.
Yeah.
No, Sanchez and Melendez still have fight of the year.
They're great.
I didn't get to see the post-fight presser because I actually went out to watch the pay-per-view with a buddy of mine, and we went out and we had a couple of beers and some appetizers, but I got back and I was a little bit buzzed when I got back, so I didn't get a chance to watch the post-fight presser. Did either of you guys see it?
No, I didn't see it. I mean, we watched the fights, watched the prelims and then the main card, and by the time all that's done, we're not too worried about the post-fight things. We already knew how everything played out. If I would have had time this morning, I would have looked it up, see if I could find it. But after the fights and everything, we've got a bunch of people over there, and once the fights are over, other things start happening.
Unmentionable things. All right, so any more comments on this one before we wrap this one up and recap how we did?
No, I would like to see a rematch.
Same here.
Because I really think it would be a good thing to do because I don't think McDonald deserves a shot. Rory doesn't deserve it right now because he has a loss right before his win to Maya. Tyrone Woodley hasn't fought enough to step it up to the title fight, I don't believe, either just yet. We know Lombard, his lackluster fight against Schultz really doesn't warrant him a title fight. So I would say if Nick Diaz would come back, maybe see Diaz against Lombard and then Rory against Woodley for to see who fights for the title.
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, I think that performance by Lawler last night isn't really going to impact his standing all that much, and he might even move up to number one contender. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see that rematch.
Oh, I'd love it. That was a great fight.
All right, let me just recap here and wrap this one up so we can move on. As far as the picks and predictions went, Damon went with Hendricks by TKO in 2, 4 points. David went with Hendricks by TKO in 3, 4 points. Rich went with Hendricks by TKO in 2, 4 points. So we all got the right winner, but it looked like none of us were expecting it to go to a decision.
Nah, they both have great chins.
Yeah, they do. That was pretty impressive. All right, let's move on to the next one. Fight number 2 from our predictions. The co-main event, Carlos Condit versus Tyron Woodley, the number 2 and number 11 UFC welterweight ranked fighters. Carlos Condit started out with a bad game plan, in my opinion. He took some heavy shots straight away that made me wince as I was watching the fight. And unfortunately, the fight was stopped due to a knee injury that Condit suffered in round 2 at 2 minutes. So I don't know, man. That looked like a pretty severe twist of the knee there. And usually when the knee twists and goes from side to side, that pretty much indicates a torn ACL. So he's probably going to be out for a while. Probably at least 6 to 9 months. And as Damon and I were talking about it in the live chat thread, might even be longer. So
Yeah, I think probably a year.
Yeah, what did you guys think of that one?
Go ahead, Damon.
All right. Yeah, it was a great fight. Yeah, you could see Woodley. He got those two rights connected really hard, and he was looking really good. Condit was looking good too as well, but he was not able to stop the takedown. And Woodley, in the second, Woodley hurt Condit's knee. You could tell from that takedown. And
yeah, when we were talking about that before the show, because what happened was when he took him down, he landed on the knee or twisted the knee, and then Woodley said he heard Condit actually comment about how he hurt his leg or his knee or something like that, and then afterwards Woodley actually went and targeted the legs after that. So
yeah,
that paid off for him.
Yeah, and that leg strike, I mean, it was so hard. It twisted Condit on his knee and created the ACL tear, if that's what it is. And I've seen a lot of people talking on in post event about how that it wasn't a real win against Condit, and it's like, you know what? I mean, Woodley caused that injury, and he finished it with a kick that actually made the injury complete. So it's, to me, that was a legit one. You hate to see a fight end like that, but that kind of thing does happen in the sport, and Woodley caused that injury, and you got to
Yeah,
give
it was actually
props
weird
to him.
too because the leg that he kicked him in wasn't the leg that sustained the injury. It looked like because when he kicked him, the kick was so hard that it spun Carlos Condit on the foot
On
that
the
got
back, yeah,
planted on the
on the
ground.
head. Yeah,
Now that's the knee that actually took the damage.
yeah. It wasn't the kick; it was the spin
Yeah.
from the kick. It was the spin after the kick because it was so hard. It spun him, and he had the foot planted, and when he spun, you could see in the replays how his knee, the way it was coming, you could see it like tearing and stuff. It was brutal. I mean, but that it is a fight game, and once you got a guy hurt, you go after their weakness to
Oh,
win
yeah.
the fight.
No doubt about that. And hats
Yeah.
off to David for actually going out on the limb and saying Woodley was going to win by TKO in 2. It's amazing that it panned out that way for him because that earned him 10 points, and that was a big up for you in the standings there, David.
Well, thank you, sir. Yeah, I was very impressed with Woodley to be able to come in and actually not be affected by Condit's game plan and to not be affected by the difference of height, reach. Was really impressive. I couldn't believe actually how Tyron Woodley could close the distance. To be able to close the distance on that particular fighter, to me indicates the kind of fighter that we're gonna like. Woodley is gonna rise to the top, I think.
Yeah, but it's even tough to say. I know the comments that Damon made, yeah, those are valid comments about, Woodley causing the injury and everything like that. But that kind of leads me to believe, was he injured going into that fight? I don't know, man.
No,
No.
not with a knee like that. I mean, if your knee was already injured, you'd be ginger on it. The takedown is what caused that.
Well, I don't know. I don't think Carlos Condit looked good in the first round. I mean,
he got tagged right away.
Yeah.
I mean, that took him out of his game plan right away.
Exactly.
I'll be honest. The way it looked, Condit did not expect Woodley to come after him like that.
Nope.
No, that when you get tagged like that by somebody like Woodley, that kind of changes your game plan around.
Yeah, it kind of forces you to change your game plan, but his plan B didn't seem to be working for him.
No.
Yeah, because we even mentioned that when Carlos Condit realizes that he's not at the advantage on the feet, he usually tries to go to the ground, but there wasn't any of that happening either.
Yeah, I do not think. I mean, in a skill set on the ground, definitely I would still go with Condit. But as opposed to who can actually put the other guy on the ground,
exactly.
Woodley. And I mean, he's the superior wrestler for sure.
Yep.
I mean, if it were to go to, if they ever were to fight again, and it were to go 5 rounds, yeah, I would definitely see Condit being able to take it, because I don't know, I haven't seen Woodley really fight a 5-round fight, and a guy with that much muscle, he's going to gas a lot quicker.
Yeah, that's what I said to my buddy Mark when we were watching the fights. I was like, holy Jesus, man, if he keeps up this pace, he's going to slow down badly in round 2, because with all of that muscle, he's definitely, can't go at that rate and, keep it on Condit like that. And then unfortunately, the knee injury occurred, but you hate to see a fight end like that, but unfortunately it is what it is.
Yeah,
all right, let me just recap here so we can move on here. As far as our picks and predictions, Damon went with Condit by decision, 0 points. David went boldly and took Woodley by TKO 2, 10 points. And Rich Davie, Condit by TKO 2, 0 points. So hats off to you there, David, man. Good gutsy pick there that paid off for you, buddy.
Oh, I was happy to see it go. I mean, I am a fan of Wood. I'm a fan of Condit too. But yeah, I was really happy to see it go that way. I got a lot of promise with Woodley for the future. I think he might be that guy. He every single fight he looks so much different and so much better. Seeing how he was so composed last night, just incredible.
Yeah, and he was pretty cool too after the fight. Woodley said, I heard him say something when I took him down. He was complaining about the knee. When he got back up, I targeted the knee. He says, I didn't know which knee it was, so I kicked both. He says, I hit the right spot eventually, and it was time to get him out of there. So very glad I got the win. All the best to Carlos. Hope he's back soon. So that's a pretty classy comment post-fight.
Absolutely.
And then Condit's post-fight comment was, worst possible scenario, having injuries like that. I felt something in my knee earlier on in the fight from a takedown. When he hit me with the kick, it didn't hurt at first. So I went to check it, and the knee just kind of stayed when I twisted around. That's when I really felt it go. I don't know what else to say. It sucks. So unfortunately, it turned out that way. But as we were saying earlier there, I don't know how much that's going to impact his standing in the division rankings. But let's move on to the next one. Another one. This one didn't pan out the way that the three of us expected, and probably not many people expected it to pan out like this. Miles Jury versus Diego Sanchez, the number 15 and number 24 lightweight fighters. I don't know, guys. I did not think Sanchez looked good in this one. He just was not the same guy that you would have expected to show up in the fight. Well, what did you guys think about this one?
Sloppy.
I agree with you 100%. I don't know what Sanchez was thinking all week. It was like he wasn't even focused on the fight. He was doing so many little pressers and media scrums and talking to reporters, then telling people he was changing his game plan and the way he fights, and I don't know. That was
kind of like he overlooked Miles Jury, huh?
Completely.
I
And
mean,
Jury showed up to play. He set the pace immediately, not stole that first round, earned that first round big time, and subsequently the fight.
yeah, if I would have picked on stats on that one, I would have gone with Jury, but I was going with Hart from Sanchez's last fight against Melendez, and
Yeah.
you know, sometimes Hart picks don't pan out. You know,
I think we all went with the heart pick on that one
Yeah,
because
we
yeah,
did.
yeah,
yeah,
because I too love Diego Sanchez, but man, that wasn't the Diego Sanchez I expected.
No. And that's the funny thing. If Sanchez had started to impose that game that he does anybody think that Jury could have hung with him?
Yeah,
I
and he
personally
just
don't.
never did. He just never really did crank it up to that level that
Nope.
we're so familiar with from him.
Exactly. And
I
that's
don't think he could get it started. And that's the problem. Like Rogan was commenting during the fight, you know, Diego has a tell for when he's going to come in and start swinging, and Jury picked that up, and so he knew whenever Diego was coming after him, so he was able to counter him and land shots of his own.
Yeah,
You
Rogan
know,
kept mentioning that last night. He bites down on his mouthpiece and makes an ugly face, and then you know he's getting ready to turn it on. And every time that
Yeah.
happened, Jury definitely evaded and got out of the way.
I mean, if you look at Jury's record, I mean, he's what is he 14-0 now? I thought he was 13-0 coming into the fight.
How can he be ranked number 24 when he's got a record like that?
yeah.
Level of competition, I guess.
Hmm. So that's going to drop Diego Sanchez out of the top 15 now.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it should. I mean, Sanchez, gotta love the guy, but I mean, 2 losses in a row, it just, you know, he hasn't been that top of a fighter in the recent past. I mean, he's last win was against Gomi. And before that, he lost to Ellenberger. I mean, he was, you know, a guy that you love. That he's a guy that you love to watch fight, but he doesn't always fight smart. And when you don't fight smart, you lose.
Yeah, and he was, when he was speaking last night too, after the fight, he seemed a little punch drunk to me, man.
He probably was. I mean,
Yeah.
Jury was putting it on him pretty good.
Yeah.
And Jury, yeah, he definitely seems like he's ready to take his career to that next level and go for a run. So
Yeah.
hopefully that's what we see.
I wonder where he moves up to now in the rankings because, as we said, he was ranked 24, so I guess that puts him in the top 20 now.
I would just flip the 2 spots. I'd put Sanchez at 24 and Jury at 15.
Yeah, I would say that's reasonable.
Yeah, definitely.
How did you guys score it? Because I scored it 30-27 myself.
Yeah, that's the way I seen it.
Same here.
Okay.
Shockingly, but same here.
Did you guys see the Fox Sports 2 post-event show?
Nah, I watched the prelims on Fox Sports 2, and that was enough of a nightmare.
I know. Wasn't that dreadful? Jesus, man, the picture was so
I mean,
grainy.
yeah, the fights were good, but I mean, it might as well have been in black and white. You know,
Yeah.
the 21st Century called, and they wanted you to know that HD is here, UFC.
Yeah,
I heard-
it's not really the UFC, it's Fox that's doing this. I mean, now,
Yeah, but the UFC
now that they made the deal, they're kind of shortchanging the UFC because early on they were putting everything on Fox Sports 1 and only a couple of things on the Fox Sports 2. Now it's almost everything is going on Fox Sports 2, and who wants to watch that shit? I mean,
Yeah, and there's a lot of
everyone's
people
got
that don't even have
Nobody
it.
wants to watch a digital grainy picture anymore.
Good luck getting Fox Sports 2 in any other country other than the United States as
Oh,
well.
really?
Yeah.
Well, it's it's a secondary
Yeah.
sports channel, so I mean, for real though, the UFC with their deal, they need to be telling Fox, say, hey,
Absolutely.
we need you to upgrade to HD for this channel. I mean,
Well, I think since this rebranding of those 2 networks, man, UFC is being treated like a redheaded stepchild by Fox.
yeah, I mean, like I've said with the robot and the one UFC on Fox and Rogan, oh, he hated it. I mean, I, it it was a good deal, but it's not turning out to be as good a deal as I thought it was going to be. I mean, it's
Not as good as it was when it first started out, because like I said,
yeah,
everything was being put on the high def channels from Fox for UFC, and now, all this other college basketball and any other sport that's on, they preempt the UFC shows or push them back, and I don't know, man. I'm sorry that things are panning out the way that they are for the UFC on the Fox network, but I'm not happy with it.
yeah. No, I'm not either. I mean, it almost makes me happy to see that they are putting more things on Fight Pass. I'd rather pay $10 a month for Fight Pass than to pay for the prices of cable to watch grainy ass fucking fights on Fox Sports 2.
Yeah. Well, the reason I brought that up was because in the Fox Sports 2 post-event show, Miles Jury, he was a little bit, I don't know, a little bit abrasive in his comments and talk about how good he was and this and that.
Yeah, he was cocky. He was cocky in the post-fight interview with Rogan.
Was he really?
Oh yeah, he was saying that he's like he couldn't believe that it was so easy
Oh, yeah,
beat
exactly.
Diego
Yeah.
Sanchez.
Oh, man, that was too much, wasn't it?
I mean,
It's
yeah,
hard to like somebody who's not humble in victory.
yeah, but then again, I mean, it kind of was pretty easy for him to beat Diego Sanchez. I mean, when you watch a guy that just got out of a war with somebody like Gilbert Melendez, and then you go in there and you're expecting
Well,
somebody
it's one
tough.
thing to say it as a matter of a fact type of a way of saying things, but the way that he said it, it was condescending and putting down
Yeah,
Diego
yeah,
Sanchez.
he was doing that. I mean, we'll have to see how it pans out. If he keeps acting like that, I mean, he's not gonna earn many fans. I mean, a lot of these guys, especially Diego Sanchez, have a fan base because of the way they fight, and people love them. And when you've got fighters that are condescending to other fighters, and they make themselves out to be assholes, and sometimes you wonder if they're doing it because they feel that way, or if they're doing it because
They're
of
playing a character.
because of the Sonnen effect,
Yeah.
to where Sonnen got title shots and shit where he didn't deserve them just because of his smack talk. I love Sonnen, but a lot of his title shots I don't think he ever actually deserved.
No, I agree. Comments, David?
Yeah, just we're still on the jury. My connections, I don't know what is wrong with it. Yeah, I think when a fighter takes that road of being critical of another fighter or trash talking, to me, it's just it puts that negative aspect on the sport. I mean, yeah, there are guys that do it, but for the most part, I love to see fighters being respectful to each other and giving each other the kudos they deserve. I mean, anybody that gets in that ring, as far as I'm concerned, has mass huevos. So anybody that's choosing that road to be critical and to trash talk another fighter, I'm always against. And with Sonnen, I think he does it in a smart way. I think he does it in a funny way and actually gets fans that way.
Yeah,
Other
like
fighters,
we said on the last show that we did that I haven't published yet. I haven't finished editing it yet, but when we were talking about the John Jones situation, and it seems that a lot more fighters are coming out with this condescending, trash talk where they put down the fighters in almost like a WWE mentality, and it's really turning off a lot of fans. I see so many fans out there that have been long-time MMA fans for like 10, 20 years, that they're really becoming turned off to this sort of mixing of WWE and UFC, and I can't blame them because I don't like it either.
Yeah, I can't stand it. It's like I've said before, let the WWE be the WWE, and the UFC needs to be the UFC.
Yeah, I'm sorry I interrupt you, David. Continue.
oh no worries. Yeah, I think with that too as well, one of my biggest fears was when I'd heard Dana White and Fertitta say that they had been following the WWE around to see how they promote themselves, how they do the shows, like how they organize the shows and get them so all the fans so amped up and stuff. And I think when you're talking about an MMA fan and a wrestling fan, they're two entirely different people.
And plus, I think it's an entirely different demographic because
absolutely.
No, I think a lot of wrestling.
Well, many people who have been watching the UFC have been watching the UFC since the beginning of the UFC, like me and a lot of guys my age. You know, I've been watching MMA for a couple of decades now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you also got to remember a lot of people that are watching the UFC are also WWE fans. You know, they're combat sport fans. I mean,
I have to take issue with that. WWE is nothing but a fucking show.
It is a show.
That's not a sport. That's a spectacle.
But it is, well, most of the storylines, but the actual athleticism that these guys have is an actual talent that these guys learn. I mean, it's.
But I don't think very many grown-up, mature men are tuning in to watch WWE. And that's what I was referring to when I was talking about demographic. I think WWE is more.
They wouldn't be $1 billion company if just kids watched it.
Well, I'm thinking it's more of an 18 to 30-year-old demographic than it would be, you know, older, you know, MMA fans like who are, you know, 30, 40, 50.
I don't know. Watch a WWE show. I know it's painful, but.
I would never watch that shit. I can't stand it.
But look at the crowds. I mean, you've got people of all genders, all ages. I mean, you know, I grew up watching wrestling, but I quit watching it because it became way too much of a soap opera, and it, you know, once it went from the WWF to the WWE, it really started to change, and it's not something that I myself personally would want to watch, but I know I've got people that I know that are my age and even older that still watch it and still enjoy it.
Well, my two brothers used to watch it, and I used to have to, you know, I never watched it. I always hated that shit. But my two brothers, when I used to go hang out with them, they were big fans of it. My youngest brother, Chuck, he stopped watching it because it just got so ridiculous with the stank face and the fucking ladders and the tables and the chairs, and you know, he just was turned off to it. Then I finally got him into MMA, but my other brother, who's younger than me, and in between me and my youngest brother, he was still a big fan of it. He still enjoyed it, but he never got into MMA at all. I guess he just, you know, because he was a big collector of all the memorabilia and the dolls and all the bullshit that they sell. So I guess that's why he stayed watching it, but I could never get into it.
Well, you got to think, too, is look at Mick Foley. He's had two number one, I believe I know he has one, but I think he has two number one bestseller books on the New York Times bestseller list.
That's the dude that got his ear ripped off in the cage, right?
I believe so, yeah. He's Dude Love and, I forget his other ones. But he's got so many, you know, he's the one that actually got into the WWE from doing all this backyard wrestling and showing it to him, and he's the one that did all the crazy shit. But he's a smart guy.
Mm. I'm not saying they're not smart guys, but I don't want to tout them anymore. They've got their own means to tout their shit.
but I can see why Dana White and them would want to go around and see how Vince McMahon is grown his empire from a fledgling wrestling company into a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Well, I don't know, man. I just, again, I have a hard time envisioning the fact, maybe because I'm older, but I have a hard time envisioning the fact that that's the demographic that they're going after, because these are the kids who, and I hate to say this, I'll probably get shit for it, but, you know, the kids that are 18 to 30 nowadays, they're still living at home.
And a lot of that also has to do with the economy and the way things are done nowadays. You know, look at our education system. I mean, there's a whole different set of rules, I would say, to how things are nowadays as compared to back when me or you were growing up.
Yeah. Dave, are you a fan of WWE?
No. I hate it.
Did you ever watch it?
When I was like, I think the last time I actually watched was like me and my dad used to watch the old school. Remember the Saturday night main events with Big John Studd, King Kong Bundy, and Hogan?
I used to, yeah.
That's when I watched, and then
I used
after
to
that,
watch wrestling when it was actually the black and white days of wrestling, where it was still somewhat wrestling without all the, the glitz and glamour.
Yeah.
And back in the day of Gorgeous George, the black and white days when he came out, that's when things started changing, and then they just kept the ball rolling and making it more ridiculous. And
yeah.
But people are still buying into it, man.
It's
That's
true.
I don't watch it myself, but it's huge.
I have a hard time believing that people can be fooled by that shit. And there's so many people that think it's real. It's
I call
mind-blowing.
It's soap opera for men. Honestly, that's how I've always seen it. Once I matured, yeah.
Well, a lot of them know it's fake too, as well. Besides the people that think it's real, but there's a lot that know it's fake, but still just love watching it. It's.
What the fuck is the point of watching something that's
I don't know. Why do women?
If something is going to be scripted and predetermined, why watch it? I mean,
why do women watch soap operas when they have the fucking worst actors in the world? Fucking.
Apparently, women were not watching soap operas because I understand they're not even on TV anymore.
I think there's like one or two left, but I think reality shows killed them off. But yeah, they went for so many years. I mean, and the TV novellas, these horrible acting jobs. But they would get so many viewers. It's like,
if I had a choice, what fans I want to sit beside, I would love to be at the Tokyo Dome watching Pride because those fans there are amazing.
And just shut up and watch the fight.
Yeah. And I don't want to be standing beside some guy who's holding up a sign, killer. Like I could never.
I had some guy last night. Oh my God! When we were at the bar watching the pay-per-view, there was this one clown, and he was just like a loudmouth, and everybody was annoyed because the guy kept walking around from screen to screen with his beer in his hand, screaming and yelling, and it's like he had no clue what the fuck he was talking about. And then I stepped out to go have a smoke, and this guy followed me out. He had a smoke, and he was standing there talking to me. And, as he got into the conversation with me, he realized that I knew a little bit more about what I was talking about than he did. And, see you later, I got to go, man. But the guy was a loudmouth, and he had no clue what he was saying, and it was so obnoxious. And I'm so glad once I started speaking with him that he just wound up turning around and walking away. But yeah, to me, he's the kind of fan that would be a WWE type of a fan. And I've also, when I used to go out and watch the pay-per-views at a place they had down here called Hot Shots, that was back in the Brock Lesnar days. And whenever the WWE fans came in, they were just so rude and obnoxious. They would stand in the way. They were, rambunctious and loud. It was like, Jesus, man, sit down and watch the fight.
Well, I think the event itself, the WWE events itself, actually garnish that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
Being rowdy, obnoxious, being in people's faces. I think that totally is that whole attitude for WWE and how they actually promote themselves as being just I think next level of entertainment, I guess. Even though it's not
that's just what society needs, more people like that.
That's part of the mystique, of the WWE. And if you want to talk about society and shows, Jerry Springer fucking leveled this fucking country.
Yeah. Well, let's not go too far off topic. Let's get back to this one here. Miles Jury, post-fight comment, he said, obviously, I didn't want to stand in the pocket too long and trade because that's Diego's strength. He's known for that. I wasn't afraid of his punches at all. I just wanted to fight smart. My coaches tell me I'm the best in the world. He says, but I expect that from them. I know I can beat anyone, but with each win over better and better competition, I start to believe in myself more and more. I'm young and I'm better each time I step into the octagon. I'm ready for whatever the UFC has for me next. And then for Diego Sanchez, His comment was, "It really was just an off night. I don't want to make an excuse because I'm not that guy. I must have eaten something bad because I got really sick late yesterday. I really hurt my rehydration process and I couldn't keep the fluids down. Jury fought a great fight, but I know I could have given a better showing for the fans and for myself. Hats off to him." So maybe there was something with, Diego. Maybe he was dehydrated because he got sick, and maybe that was part of the reason for his poor performance. But he agrees with most everybody else. He did not look good and didn't put in the performance that everybody was expecting. All right, let me sum this one up here with our predictions. We were all way off on this one because we went with our hearts. All three of us picked Sanchez by decision, and we earned 0 points. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Fight number 4 from our prediction show. Hector Lombard versus Jake Shields. Neither fighter was happy about their performance in this matchup, and fans were expecting Lombard to win by TKO or KO, and that did not happen. After an excellent start by Lombard in round 1, that looked like Hector was going to end the fight early on, somehow Jake Shields managed to survive that beating. And even though it wasn't a very impressive performance by Lombard after that, he did in fact get the win, and I scored the fight 30-27 Lombard. So Hector Lombard did in fact win that one by unanimous decision, with the scorecards reading 30-27, 30-27, and 29-28. How did you guys score that one, and what are your comments on that fight?
Go ahead, David. Can you hear David? Okay, David can't hear. That one was pretty much. It was an awesome fight for like the first round and a half, and then it slowed down. But it was awesome to see Lombard just throw Shields around like crazy, knowing Shields is a wrestling machine himself.
Oh man, like a rag doll, time after time. Those judo throws were kind of like Ronda Rousey's judo throws. Man, he was just battering him with those.
He looked amazing, but then he tailed off and just, it looked like he had used up his gas and was coasting for the rest of the fight, and that you never want to see a fighter coast.
Yeah, it's hard to believe he punched himself out in round 1 like that, because in round 1 I thought for sure it was over. I just don't understand how Shields even survived that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I guess he's got a chin, but I believe he's been knocked out before, but man, he was taking a pounding.
Yeah, he did not look good in that one. Hector looked great in 1, but he didn't look great after the first round. But 2 and 3, he was kind of coasting, more so in round 3. But he did get the win, and I know David dropped out. But David, I scored. I scored the fight 30-27. So how did you score it?
Yeah, same here. I'm just going to say this. Do you know what? Every single time I hear Lombard say he's going to knock somebody's head off, yada, yada, you know what? Let's see him prove it. I'm tired of hearing him say it. I want to see him prove it. I've seen at least 3 lackluster performances by him where he gasses.
Yeah, he's so hot and cold, man.
Yeah. I don't, by no means does he deserve a title shot, and he has no right to call out Hendricks at the press conference.
No way.
Oh, and then say that Lawler's out of the picture? What an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, if anything, I would like to see Lawler-Lombard. I think that would be a great fight, because I think Lawler takes that one.
Absolutely.
I'd actually, like I said, I've already stated what I want. I would love to see a rematch of the Hendricks-Lawler fight, because now that Hendricks does have the title, it'll be a title fight instead of a fight for the title.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. I think PFW did say that rematch was going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be an instant rematch, but yeah, I'm pretty sure most fans want to see that and feel that rematch is warranted. So yeah, that's more than likely going to happen.
Did any of you gentlemen, just as a little side note, did any of you gentlemen hear about Diaz heckling Hendricks in the weigh-ins on Friday?
Yeah.
I'm
not a big fan of him. I was a big fan of his early on.
Yeah.
But man, when he came back to the UFC and he became this prima donna who was bitching and moaning, complaining about everything, and every time he lost, it wasn't his fault. It was because his opponent was dodging him or running from it. It's like, come on. If you can't deal with wrestling and you can't deal with somebody evading you're striking, but no one's going to stand flat-footed in front of you. Well, maybe not no one, but relatively few guys are going to stand in front of Diaz and let him just pick them apart.
And he can do, like, I mean, if he can do that to pro boxers, because I've heard about him sparring with pro boxers and being insanely successful. I mean, standing and trading in a boxing format with him, nobody's going to win in that division. I personally don't think.
I agree. And maybe if that's the way he wants to fight, maybe he should move to boxing.
Go box, exactly. Because
that's what he wants. He wants to make it a boxing match.
There's more money in boxing, so why doesn't he just go box?
Yep.
It's weird.
Yeah, and his brother Nate came out after the fight and tweeted some sort of comment about, "Oh, motherfuckers, my brother beat all these motherfuckers." It's like, Jesus.
What?
I mean, Diaz, when he's on, he's a good fighter, but he's got to tone down the taunting and do more actually fighting.
Yeah.
That's why he lost against Condit.
The quality in the UFC has passed him by. He's not UFC quality anymore.
I agree.
Maybe he should go fight somewhere else, and he'll find guys that want to stand there and box with him, and allow him to pick them apart, because that's what he's looking for, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But he does have really good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
But he never uses it.
Yeah, because he wants to keep it standing.
Yeah.
But he should know that nobody's gonna want to sit there and stand with him because his stand-up is so good.
Yeah, he's a great MMA boxer, but again, nobody is going to stand there and let him just pick them apart. It's kind of crazy that he wants that kind of fight, and it doesn't make sense. If that's what you're looking for and that's the style you want, go to boxing.
No.
And clearly he should understand the entire game plan of another opponent is not to fight your style of fighting. Like, what? So, I guess, he needs to, you know what, he's been a loose cannon and a wild card ever since he came back, and he's let his mouth run a little too much. I think, I don't know why, like, it seems like Dana White loves the Diaz brothers.
They bring in fans.
They do bring in fans, that's what I was going to allude to, is they do get a lot of people interested, and I would like to see, like, if they do get Nick Diaz back in, because they said he wants a fight right for the title and that he's interested in fighting immediately right now. Mm-hmm. But I think he should obviously have to face somebody.
There's no way he gets a title shot if he does come back.
He'll
have to fight 2 or 3 guys before he...
Yeah, here's an interesting matchup. Tell me what you guys think. Rory McDonald and Nick Diaz.
I'd like to see that.
Hell yeah.
Like I said, I'd rather see Diaz versus Lombard and Rory versus Tyron Woodley, and then the winners with the best fight, the best finish, go for the title.
And knowing Dana White, it'll be the exact opposite. It'll be Woodley and Lombard and Diaz, and like, they always do the ones that I think it's you know how they talk about the stylistic matchups they do?
Yeah.
But then it seems like
they always pair wrestlers with wrestlers.
I know. Why not do the opposite? Why not have the Lombard and against McDonald? Because stylistically thally, very different. Why not do that?
And do that every once in a while.
Styles make fights.
Exactly.
All right, so any more comments on the Lombard Shields fight?
No, it was pretty boring to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were talking pre-show before we started recording about where Jake Shields is going to go, because we had number 12 versus number 6, so now what happens to Jake Shields?
Yeah.
We dropped a couple slots, probably. Maybe one with the UFC's ranking system.
Yeah, I think Lombard will probably move into the top 10 now, and Jake Shields will probably drop down to probably like number 8, maybe number 9.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I don't put much credence into the UFCs, but yeah, I think Shields goes down one notch, and Lombard probably shoots up about 4.
Yeah, UFC obviously doesn't put much credence in their rankings either.
They don't. I see fighters go down and up that haven't even fought in like 6 months.
I
And
know, and then they make these crazy matchups where guys aren't even ranked close to each other, and they're just, it's like, what the hell's the point of rankings if you're going to take a guy that's 10 places below a fighter? And,
Yeah.
But we did see how it panned out for Miles against Diego.
yeah.
All right, so any more comments on this one other than it was a boring fight and Lombard didn't look all that good, but Shields looked even worse?
That sums it up perfect.
Yeah, first round exciting. The rest of it, yeah. But that's what I expect when I see a Shields fight. I was kind of hoping to see Lombard finish it in the first, so I wouldn't have to watch another 10 minutes of Shields.
Yeah, I actually thought it was going to be a TKO. I thought for sure with the punching power that he had, it was going to be over with. And then when I saw it in the first round, he landed several shots on Shields. I was like, no way he can sustain and come back from that. And sure as hell he did.
Yeah,
He's got a chin. He's got it. Like I said that in our prediction show. I'm like, oddly enough, it seems like he's got that chin and is a survivor. Is he a finisher in the UFC? Hell no.
Yeah,
He's a
so
survivor.
I guess he's just going to become a top 10 gatekeeper.
Yeah.
After this.
pretty much.
He's a survivor, and I'll give him props. I mean, I don't think what Joe Rogan said when he came into the division, like Joe Rogan has never touted a fighter more highly than he did Jake Shields.
Yeah.
When he came in, he's like, this guy's on the top level of the food chain. One of Joe Rogan's favorite statements.
Did he say it just like that?
Oh, of course. He said it just like that. But yeah, I think he's good, but he'll never be that guy in the UFC ever.
No.
All right, let me wrap this one up here by saying how we did with our picks and predictions here. Dana went with Lombard by TKO and 2 4 points. David went out on a limb again. Another big payoff for him. He went with Lombard by decision, 10 points. And those two out on a limb picks you made put you way in the lead, buddy. So congrats on that.
Thank you so much. I had studied this one hard, and the limb picks I did make, yes, they were that, but I kind of thought they had a chance to happen.
Yeah. And then I went with Lombard by TKO and 2, and I got 4 points. Okay, let's move on to fight number 5 that we did on the predictions show. All right, and that one was the first fight on the main card, and that was Nikita Krylov versus Ovince St. Preux. That was an interesting fight there. It was a number 19 ranked light heavyweight fighter who was not ranked in UFC versus another fighter that was not ranked. So kind of an odd fight to have opening for the main card, but Ovince St. Preux showed why it was. He made a brief fight out of that and secured a quick win by a Von Fluke choke in round 1, choking Nikita Krylov into unconsciousness. That was pretty impressive. I don't think many people expected the submission like that. I think more people were probably expecting either a TKO or KO in 1 or 2 than a submission in 1. So what did you guys think about that one?
Yeah, from that fight, watching it and the position, the camera angle, I seen the ref come in, and I'm like, and stop it. I'm like, what the hell just happened? And then they showed the other angles and talked about the Von Fluke choke, and I was like, holy shit! I mean, OSP, like I said, I've liked him because of the first round TKOs he's been doing, but man, this dude with that submission like that, he's showing he's got more talents than just knocking people out.
Yeah.
That was his 4th UFC fight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he won them all. And did he win them all in the first round?
2 in the first round, and I think 1 was a decision, or maybe a round 2 TKO, I believe, actually.
So this guy is obviously going to be ranked somewhere in the UFC rankings now.
Oh, he should be, yeah.
I mean, he's looking like a guy that's got something to bring to the table in the light heavyweight division. Yeah. Very interesting.
Absolutely.
I don't know how high he should be up because he hasn't really faced anybody of stature yet. But
no, but I mean, he showed some impressive things. Yeah. You know.
Well, we'll see.
1 decision.
With the UFC, you know how much they like guys that go after it, right? So I think with his what he's showing is I think they will give him a big step up next fight.
Yeah, I think he probably will move up into the top 20 UFC rankings, and then he'll probably get a fight maybe top 15 guy after that. What do you think?
Definitely.
He deserves
Definite.
it.
Any more comments on that one, fellas?
Just that was great. I love seeing stuff you hardly ever see in
Exactly.
in MMA. And like I said, it totally took me off guard. I was wondering what the fuck happened.
Was that Dan Margliotta that was in there in that one as the ref?
I'm not sure who the ref was in that one.
Well, whoever the ref was, you got to give props to him because he knew what was happening and he stepped in there and he saw what was happening. And
Yes.
rather than just stand there like most of us probably were watching and saying, what the hell's going on? It doesn't look like anything's happening. And boom, the man was unconscious.
Yeah, I think Rogan had even said something about he believed that OSP had actually said to the ref that the guy was out.
Yeah, he did.
So, props to that dude.
Yeah.
OSP's comments after the fight and about the choke on the win, he said, the minute he grabbed a hold of my head when I was in top position, I knew I had the opening. It was just a matter of time from there. I trapped his arm, and before the ref stepped in, I actually started to look over because I felt him go out. I'm very happy with my performance. That's the 4th consecutive win, so I'm ready for whatever the UFC has for me next. I've never said no to a fight, and I never will. I want a top guy. So a very classy response by him post-fight.
Maybe we'll see him and Bosch in the future. Because I still think Bosch is ranked up there, and that would be a great fight to see if Bosch is still worthy, and then to see if OSP is available, like to go to that next level. So.
Yeah, 'cause they both got heavy hands.
Yep, that would be a great fight. Great fight.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so any more comments on that one? I know there's not much to talk about because it was over so quickly. That was Ovince St. Preux wins by submission in round 1 at 1 minute and 29 seconds by Von Flue choke. So not a whole lot to talk about.
Great fight. I mean, he's stocks are in his favor. He's going to go far, I think. And that was something that I think a lot of people were kind of anticipating for him, and he's showing it. So good for him. And a good, respectful fighter as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that was classy of him, too, to let go and ease up on the choke when he knew that the man was unconscious. Okay, any more comments before we wrap things up here? All right, let me just recap our picks and predictions. Damon went with OSP by TKO on 1. He got 7 points for that pick. David went with OSP by TKO on 2. He got 4 points. And Rich Davie went with OSP by TKO on 2, 4 points as well. All right, guys. I was going to see if we could do a final thoughts segment, but we kind of did final thoughts throughout the entire show.
And you know what? It worked out pretty good with just the 3 of us being able to do that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know where everyone is. I know that Wes is having a problem with his computer. I know that he said he had a computer problem, but I guess the other guys have decided to drop out of the predictions. So I guess we'll continue on with the 4 of us. Mark, unfortunately, never made it to the show today. He said he was going to be here, try to log in later. Maybe he had problems trying to connect to the show. I sent him the link for the show. But there were a couple other guys that told me they wanted to join us on a couple of shows as well. We'll see how all of that pans out in the future. But yeah, I guess what we'll do from this point forward is we'll just go with the 4 of us with the predictions, unless we get somebody else that wants to join us, or maybe one of the other guys wants to come back and continue giving their predictions. But I know with Murat, he had he fights and he's constantly having some sort of a match or
yeah, he had a match today, I believe.
Yeah. So that could be, too, why he's not able to join us on some of the shows as well. But we'll see what happens with those fellas in the future. Unfortunately, they couldn't make the last few shows, so we're nearing the end of the first quarter predictions for the season. So looks like we got the work cut out for us to catch up to David after that excellent performance on this card. So, David, I'm hoping that you do bad in the next couple of series.
When I was saying to you, Rich, I have been red hot on fire lately. It's just been a treat for me. So when even my buddies up here, I had a friend win a substantial amount of money on my picks last night. So
well, that's good.
He better take me out for drinks. Be
Oh,
better.
yeah, I want to say thanks to my buddy Mark because when we went to the pay-per-view last night at Tijuana Taxi, we had some beers and some appetizers, things like that, and my buddy Mark wound up picking up the tab, so I want to thank him for that if he listens to the show. All right, guys, that's it. We've reached the end of the show, so if you want to say goodbye, now's the time to do it.
Take it easy, guys.
Thank you for having me, Rich and Damon. It's good to see you, and I hope everybody just has a great, relaxing Sunday and enjoy yourselves.
Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll do another prediction show for the next UFC event, and we'll see if we can get a couple more guys involved. I don't know if the other guys dropped out because they're scared.
They could be.
Or, are they intimidated by our predictions?
Well, I got to say, the three of us here are, I mean, when it comes to our analysis of the fights, when it comes to what we pick, the three of us here are very good.
Yeah, it was kind of like an off. It was kind of like an off night for us because there was a couple of odd ways that a couple of the fights went.
Yeah.
But as I said, you went out on a limb and you picked those couple of odd things, and
it paid off.
Big time. That was 20 points in those two that you went out on the limb on. So huge lead for you with those.
Yeah, if I would have went with my heart on the Condit Woodley fight, I would have gotten 7 points. I would have gotten 7 points because I would have picked him by a TKO in the first because that explosive power, he's got to do it in the first or second. Yeah. He's going to be in trouble.
You're right.
Well, it was fun again, guys. I'm glad we got together again. I always have a good time doing the show with you guys.
Love doing it. Thanks for having me again.
Same here.
All right, and one of these days when we get the forum finished, we'll start promoting that as well. Right now we're still in the process of building, tweaking, testing things out. So we're still not ready to go forward publicly with that, but we do get some views from people that follow us on Twitter and Facebook from the original articles and pieces that we do write. So once we get that all settled out and situated, we'll probably even, David and I were talking about starting an actual website as well to go in conjunction with the forum. So maybe at some point down the road we'll also get a website going for the shows as well. All right, guys.
Excellent. Oh, yeah, I was going to say I excited to see what the future holds because I'm even starting to garnish some more fans actually now that they're seeing how credible the three of us are with our picks and what we know about fighting. There's two gentlemen last night when I was showing them the website while I was at the bar. They were extremely impressed, and both of them young guys, so I'm hoping they spread the word that they come in, register and that. So I'm going to be talking with them today, and I think we got it going on here, gents.
Excellent, man. And post some of those articles that you were working on because I recreated, I don't know if you read my article.
Yes.
I recreated my John Jones article, and it's not as good as the original one, because it's never as good when you're trying to rethink what you said the first time.
Yes.
But I did put that up, and one of the people on Twitter that follows me, he actually has 3,000 followers. He tweeted the article out, and a couple of other people tweeted the article out. Several people actually enjoyed that article. So
yeah, it was a good article. And when somebody is that classless, I think they need to be exposed.
Yeah, and like I said earlier in the show, I'm going to do that John Jones segment that we had in the Final Thought segment in the last show that we did. We kind of ran long as we usually do when we go off topic, but we're going to make a separate show out of that, and I'll post that John Jones discussion that we had as a live chat show. So probably within the next day or two I'll get this show done, and then I'll follow up with that John Jones discussion that we had.
Excellent.
Okay, fellas, again, thanks again for showing up. Appreciate you all being here, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, sir. Take care, guys.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Too much for me.